Hi, I'm Rachel, welcome to my channel. This week I'm going to talk about pressing. It's one of the most important parts of the make process and will help you get that professional finish which I think we all strive for and crave when we are sewing. It is absolutely key. So I'm going to talk about pressing, the technique of pressing, how to press, when to press, and also about some of the great equipment that you can get that can help you get that really great finish alongside your technique as well. So let's begin. I'm going to start by talking about pressing as opposed to ironing. So ironing is, okay, so say you pre-wash your fabric and you need to iron it. It's got full of wrinkles. You get your seam iron out and you iron it. So it's the act of gliding across the fabric. That to me is ironing. Now pressing is very, very different. Pressing is simply lifting the iron on and off the fabric. So you do not stretch, you do not distort the fibres at all. So it's fundamentally different to ironing. So that's the first thing to remember. Secondly, I just want to talk about my iron and the kind of irons you get. I know you can get really, really fancy steam generating irons. When I worked in the industry, in the sample rooms, we'd have these fantastic steam irons with regenerating steam with the suction beds and everything. And it would be my dream come true to have one of those again. But as it is at the moment, I'm just using a humble Russell and Hobbs iron, which has a spray setting and a steam setting. And to be perfectly honest with you, for me as somebody sewing at home, it's fine because I think it's a combination of obviously you do need a steam iron in my opinion. It's a combination of technique and equipment and building your experience up to help get a better finish with your pressing techniques personally. So yeah, so at the moment I just have a very basic Russell Hobbs steam iron, although I have to confess I do have my eye on an Italian regenerating steam iron. Watch this space, I might buy it at some point in the next few months. But as always, when I want something like that, I do loads and loads of research, and I'm slow to make a decision, especially when it's quite a lot of money. So moving on to when to press, I mean, I think press as you go really is a general rule of thumb, and I would never attach two seams together that haven't individually been pressed. You're just never going to get a great finish if you haven't pressed those seams first. Also, obviously, check the heat of your iron, check the steam as well on a scrap of fabric, and also I think it's important to remember to remove any clips and pins that you may have had holding the fabric together. And if you're pressing a garment in the round and maybe the underside has got a zip or a button or some kind of bit of hardware or fastening on it, just be really, really careful. You might want to use a sleeve board or a ham or a sleeve roll, or maybe just roll up a towel and put it inside the garment to avoid getting any impressions from any fastenings or anything else that's on the garment. It's a really, really important thing to remember. I'm going to move on to equipment in a bit anyway. So basic principles of pressing would be from the wrong side, and also I usually press my seams flat before I press them open and flat, and this would normally mould the stitches to the fabric, and it helps eliminate puckering in my experience. And after that I would finger press the seam open, and then I would press it open and flat using whatever cloth is relevant. So that's very sort of fundamentally how I would approach pressing a basic seam. And then when you have curved seams and you've got sleeve heads and all sorts of things like that, then you can bring in things like your sleeve rolls, your tailor's hams, and I'm also going to talk about the tailor's clapper as well. So let's start talking a bit about equipment. So I've touched on the iron that I'm using. I think personally it's essential to have a steam iron. If you've got a fancy regenerating steam iron, lucky you, I haven't. I'm just using a plain old, as I said earlier, plain old Russell Hobbs steam iron. Okay, but the next most used thing in my pressing arsenal, as it were, would be my pressing cloths. And I've got 3 here. I've freshly cut 2 of them because they do tend to not look great after you've used them for a while. And my most commonly used pressing cloth is just a bit of calico. So you can cut it as you wish in an oblong or a square, very large, very small. I cut it with pinking shears around the edge, and that's probably my most frequently used pressing cloth. It's a good all-rounder. And then I have a 100% silk organza, which I use. This is great for finer fabrics, or even if you're pressing something where you want to see the details through the cloth, whereas you can't with something like a piece of calico or a piece of thicker cotton. So really useful. A bit of silk organza, and I'm always astonished at the amount of heat it can take as well. It's so strong. And then it's a very humble tea towel, and quite often if I am sewing sort of slightly heavier or textured fabrics like woolens, I will use this, and I quite often will make it damp as well. With the addition of the steam, it really seems to help get a really good finish. So nothing revolutionary there. I mean, I'm sure there are other cloths and other fibre contents that you can use, but I think my most used ones are these. And the other thing these are really useful for is if you were pressing a dart, for instance, and you can slot, if you cut smaller bits, I've got lots of smaller bits of calico as well, if you slot them underneath the dart and you're pressing from the wrong side, it will stop you getting an indentation into the right side of the fabric. So or you can do that with seams and any other areas, maybe even a pocket flap. Really useful useful thing to have. So I think after the iron, pressing cloths will be my most used item in my collection of pressing accessories. So the sleeve board, now this is really useful, and I have had this one for years, since I was at art college, and I recover it and recover it and recover it and recover it in calico, as you can see here, and it's absolutely great for not just pressing sleeves when you're pressing something in the round, like this. I just made a little sample so you can use it for sleeves. It's also great for trouser legs as well, or any maybe, or cuffs, or anything in the round that's maybe a little bit awkward. So a really good investment. I'm sure many of you have got them, and once you've got one, you've got it. I mean, I graduated over 3 decades ago, and I'm still using the same one, and I just cover it with calico. I also bought recently, I don't know why, do you ever get sucked into buying things? I've bought a mini one, but I don't really use it anyway, so it's kind of gathering dust in my sewing room. I don't know if anybody has a mini one like this. I guess, I don't know, I suppose if you're sewing on a big table and you don't want too much cluttering it up, it's kind of like a mini version, isn't it? So you can get these small ones as well. And also sometimes I don't sew always in here, sometimes my sewing room, sometimes I sew in our dining room, so I'll have my sewing machine, and I have got a sort of midi size ironing board, which has, let me just put the legs down to show you how. So it just sits on the table. So I have that, which I sometimes use as well. It's again, I've covered it in calico. The same with my iron. My ironing board. My ironing board is a large Brabantia one. But I find, I don't know about you if you've got one, I find the covers don't always fit brilliantly. So that's why I now make all my covers in calico. I have to confess I did make these covers newly. They're newly done for this video because they do get a bit, not manky, but they do get stains on them inevitably if you're using lots of steam, etc. But, you know, really cheap and easy to make. I think, you know, it'd probably take you about 20 minutes to make one of these, and it's a double layer of calico. If you want to see like an instructional video, I mean, I know lots of you are really advanced and you work it out for yourself, but if any of you want me to do a separate video about how to make an ironing board cover and a sleeve board cover, more than happy to do it. So sleeve board, midi ironing board, and my main ironing board, all with double calico layer, bespoke homemade covers. So the tailor's ham, really useful bit of equipment. Very simple. They're usually stuffed with sawdust, so they're really solid. One side is a textured woolly fabric, and the other side is a plain cotton. So they're designed for you to press maybe your textured woolen fabrics on one side and your plainer, smoother fabrics, maybe like a cotton poplin or a more delicate fabric on the smooth side. So it's basically giving you a curve. Certain parts of your garment, you know, like a bust seam or a dart, or just a curved seam. It's creating a flat surface for your curved seam. So you can press your seam open and flat or to one side in the way that you normally would. And it just makes it less awkward. So a really useful piece of equipment. The sleeve roll, made in a very similar way to the ham, except it's long and cylindrical. So this has all sorts of uses. Obviously, goes without saying, you can put it within your sleeve so you don't create creases down the sides of the sleeve when you're pressing it. So you can just get your pressing cloth and press. It also is useful for, say you were you wanted to press the sleeve head, you can push that up whichever end you wanted. You can push that right up into the sleeve, and maybe you're pressing, or you've made a woolen garment and you need to ease a bit of shrinkage out of it, and you can use your steam function on your iron to do that, but that will support the shape. So another great bit of equipment, not expensive to buy, but can really make a difference when you're trying to get a good finish, especially in awkward places like sleeves and areas that are in the round or just a little bit difficult to get to. And last but by no means least, onto one of my most favourite bits of equipment. I just think it elevates everything, especially when you're doing things that are tailored or semi-tailored. And I know a lot of people use these for quilting as well. This is a Tailors Clapper. It's made of hardwood, and it basically works by, well, you apply pressure with it and it absorbs the moisture from the steam. It traps the heat in the fabric, and it results in a really flat, crisp seam. So the steam, I guess the steam relaxes the fibres and makes them really pliable. The wood absorbs the excess moisture, and as the clapper cools, the fabric sort of sets itself, and the fibres end up in a really sort of flat position, and that's how you end up with a great sort of clean, flat seam. So you would just press normally, as it were. I'm going to do a little demonstration. Right, so this is it's a wool with a small amount of polyester in it. So this is what I would normally do. I would press the seam flat, not open and flat, I would press it flat. Okay, so I'd let that cool down. Let that cool down a little. I'm probably doing this a bit more quickly than I would normally because I'm filming this. And then I would make it open and flat, and I would just with my fingers, I would just finger press it. Then I'm going to use the organza so I can see what I'm doing. Lay the organza back on it. And you would do this a section at a time. Obviously, this is a tiny section of a seam, so I can do it all in one go. So I would hold the steam and make it open and flat. Okay, and then I would hold the clapper over for about 5 to 10 seconds so it absorbs the moisture. That's probably borderline long enough, and then you get a really lovely flat clean seam. And you can also use it for hems, for darts, for collars and for cuffs. And I tell you, it's brilliant. I'm going to do it now. It's absolutely brilliant for doing, like I said earlier, trouser creases. I made the flannelly trousers using my clapper, and the creases are kind of, they seem to be indestructible. I know probably having a small amount of polyester in the fibre content will help. But I made the flannelly trousers and I've already washed them once, and the creases have pretty much stayed. So then put a bit of pressure on. It's probably long enough. And you get a really, really nice crisp pleat. So that's the joy of the Tailors Clapper. And as I said, you can use it for other areas. If you're pressing a hem up before you're stitching it, you can use it for that, for collars, cuffs, and to just get that really, really sharp finish. A really, really useful piece when you're pressing. Well, I hope you found that useful. I'm going to link some of these sewing accessories down the bottom, so if you can maybe get one for yourself, especially if you haven't got a clapper, because they're brilliant. I'm not a master sewing technician. I'm a designer who sews. So there will be many experienced sewers out there who will have information to add to this about pressing cloths, about techniques. Please add. I mean, I've only just really touched the surface, and it's really, really this is really intended as a starting point and some of the basics of pressing. And if you don't use some of this equipment, I hope maybe you'll try it out, and it may help you just up your sewing game, because I think even though I've been sewing for years, the one thing I'm always striving for is a professional finish, like a really, really sharp look, be it tailoring or be it a cotton blouse or be it something much more casual, because I think that really sets your projects apart. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. I'm sure I will get comments. I hope so. Please, anybody wants to comment and share their knowledge about pressing, that would be amazing. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye.